Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Friday Night Comics. How's everybody doing tonight? Sorry I'm late. Had a few things I had to take care of before I could start. And yeah, one of them was feeding the cat. Hey, TOS, how you doing, man? Okie, how you doing? Ryan, Super R99, Sir Adamantine, Random American, Angela, Random American, Greg Rogers, Evolved Potato, Shitty Grin. Hi, everybody. Hey, Becca. Hey, James Colley. All right, we're here to do some pop culture news and next week's comics. As usual, we'll start with the comics. Oh, I want to thank everybody for coming out to my stream and watching that the other day for that impromptu stream about reviews on Yelp. That was a lot of fun, and it turned out to be my biggest video. Have fun at Hockey Evolved. Hope you win. So I want to thank everybody for that. Morning, Pete. And let's start with the comics as usual and see what's coming out. All right, we'll start with DC because it's the first tab. We got Action Comics and Fat Superman, apparently. And I know that's supposed to be Aquaman, but looks like a homeless guy with a stick. So Fat Superman and homeless dude with stick are going to fight, I don't know, fish. That looks exciting. Garbage art. Batman, Superman, they're doing this weird kind of alternate history sort of thing, I guess. I'm a few issues behind. And I've been enjoying this series so far, so I'm going to pick it up. They've got a new team on it, so it may not be very good, but I'll pick it up just to be a completionist and see if it's any good. These are coming up on my stack, so hopefully I won't waste any more money if it turns out to be crap. Batman Reptilian. I don't think he's fighting the reptilians from the Hollow Earth, unfortunately. But I will check this out. It sounded like it might be kind of cool. It's Garth Ennis and Liam Sharp. Liam Sharp's a very good artist. And Garth Ennis can be really good when he wants to be. So hopefully that'll be good. But I'm going to check that out. Checkmate. I am not wasting my time on that. After that Event Leviathan catastrophe and the garbage art in it, I have zero interest. The original Checkmate from, what was it, the late 80s, where it was the guy in the gold suit that was dressed like a rook. That was a much better series, as I recall. I've got the whole run of that. I should review those. But this was just stupid. This is just more lazy attempts at power politics in comic books, and it's not very interesting. A bunch of secret societies and secret organizations. I don't care. It's dumb. It is only a mini-series, but I have no interest, especially because it's written by Bendis. DC through the 80s looks really cool, but I can't afford that one. Detective Comics has been going downhill for a while now. Like all the Batman books, and Mariko Tamaki is just not that good of a writer. She's very boring and has lots of dialogue. And I'm not wasting my money on it. I think this one is $6 or $5. Price $5. Not wasting $5 on a book with a slightly better cover and nothing of interest in it. They're leading into Future State, and I don't care about it. Future State Justice League, that's a trade paperback of a bunch of shit books. John Stewart, Green Lantern, a celebration of 50 years. This could be really cool because John Stewart is an awesome character. Not the comedian, the Green Lantern. So I would buy this, but it's expensive and I don't have the money. So I'm probably going to skip this one. But if you're going to get it in the hardcover. Should be really cool. John Stewart, like I said, is an awesome character. He's been around since the 70s, and he's always been a pretty solid character. Harley Quinn, I don't care about. Infinite Frontier is part of the Future State thing. This is more of their 5G nonsense. And they're pushing more multiverse type stuff. But they're also doing a lot of diversity crap in these new Future State things. and I've been really disappointed with how pandering they are. It's just blatant tokenism, and I don't want anything to do with that. So, of course, it's led by President Superman, who is just Barack Obama. And then you've got Gay Alan Scott, his two kids that probably don't exist anymore because now he's gay. Okay. Maybe they're from his beard wife or something. I don't know. Stupid. So even though Joshua Williamson's writing this, and generally I like his writing, it's too much of a risk for me to spend like $6, I think it is, of $5. I'm not willing to take that chance. So probably not picking this up unless I impulse buy it or somebody recommends it to me. But I'm on the fence about it, but I probably won't get it. It's a mini series, but I'm just not that interested. Justice League has Black Adam on the team and this Naomi chick that Bendis created. Bendis is writing it, so you know who the favorite character is going to be. His personal favorite character that he created. So I'm not interested in that. And it'd be interesting to have Black Adam on the Justice League. Could be cool, but Bendis is just a garbage writer for the past 10 years or so. So I'm not interested. Mr. Miracle, that's not even the real Mr. Miracle. It's the other guy whose name escapes me because I care so little about the character. I just don't care. Robin, I'll probably pick that up. First couple issues were okay. It's basically the same story as Enter the Dragon, but with superhero characters. And it's got Connor Hawke for the first time since Rebirth started. So that could be interesting. I don't like the art. It's way too manga. But if you like manga-style art, you might like this. Ruby Justice League. I don't care. Superman is coming to a close so they can make his kid into the new Superman as part of the future state thing. I really think this is a big mistake. I don't think this character is nearly as popular as they think he is. First couple issues will probably do good because of speculators. Beyond that, I don't think it's going to go very far. Teen Titans Academy, I do not care at all about any of those characters. Red X is going to be revealed. I don't give a crap. The Dreaming, I don't care. Transmetropolitan was edgy in the 90s. It's kind of dated now, but if you like kind of edgy humor and social commentary, it's got a pretty left bent, but it was good for its time. It's just very dated now. Wonder Woman, I don't care. The creative team on here never impressed me, so I'm not interested. Wonder Woman Black and Gold, great concept, but I'm not spending the money on it. It's probably going to be trash. And the price point is $6. The creative team is a bunch of people I've never heard of. Written by a bunch of people I've never heard of. And with this many writers and artists on it, means there's going to be a lot of inconsistency in the storytelling and the art. And this, like Batman Black and White, is going to be a bunch of short stories in an anthology format that's only going to be about the size of a regular issue. I'm not interested in that. I don't want a bunch of short stories. They're never that interesting. They don't go into too much depth, and nothing has any impact ever. So that's a waste of my time. So from DC, it's just Batman Reptilian, Robin, and Batman Superman. Pretty light week. Check in with the chat here real quick. Do you revel in comics? Sometimes. $6 is a huge gamble, man. Hey, always, how you doing? So, yeah, I'm not willing to risk $6 on something that might be mediocre, because that's really where DC's been going, is they've been going from good to mediocre, and they're doing more of this SJW woke crap, and I don't care about that stuff. Why do I want to give my money to somebody that's going to try and lecture me? That's like getting chick tracts from religious institutions telling me I'm going to hell if I don't convert. I don't want that. And these are just commie chick tracts, from what I can tell. Won't waste money on a Robin comic. Always hated him as a character. Yeah, that's understandable. It's not unfair to say that not only am I not interested in the character, I'm not giving you this much money. Those are both equally fair. And Damian Wayne is an annoying, obnoxious character, and I'm waiting to see if they can redeem him. But the story's been okay because it's basically the story of Enter the Dragon. So if you like that movie, you're probably going to like the storyline. It's just with this little annoying brat instead of Bruce Lee. I much preferred Tim Drake, who, by the way, is apparently bisexual now. So I don't know what that's all about, but not a shocker. Half of the comic book people are gay now. I don't know why, but they're going to have to do something to reproduce superpowers in like 20 years because they'll all be aging out. Yeah, BG, you're 100% right. It's basically a religion without redemption. Well, I will have revelry however I want, usually through hilarity. All right, let's look at the previews catalog. The pickings are getting slimmer and slimmer as the comic industry slowly falls apart to these weirdos and degenerates. So Image, don't care about Ascender. Bitter Root, don't care. Family Tree, Volume 3, I didn't care about 1 and 2. Homesick Pilots, don't care. Lighthouse, don't care. Philadelphia, don't care. Manifest Destiny, don't care. I don't think they know what Manifest Destiny is, by the way. Nomen Omen, don't care. Old Guard Tales, Through Time, I don't care. These are just unappealing books. Radiant Black, reprint. Sea of Stars, not as exciting as the title would suggest. Shadecraft, same. More Shadecraft. Spawn Universe, I am going to pick this up. This looked pretty good. And it's Spawn, but they're doing some like reimagining and expanding the Spawn universe into different universes of, or multiverse of Spawn characters. So it should be pretty interesting. I'm going to give it a chance at $6. Maybe a property like Spawn will reinvigorate some new comic artists and writers to come out and do some of their own stuff. So that might be worthwhile. Stray Dogs I don't care about. Garbage art. Lots of variant covers. Summoner War Legacy. Cool title, but I don't know anything about Summoner War. And the art looks like shit. Look at that. You get a cool title like Summoner War and you put all these pastel colors in. That's just weird and contradictory. You got to make it like dark reds and black and, you know, make it heavy metal. Don't make it pop rock, easy listening. Undiscovered Country. That's dumb. Vinyl I don't care about. So from Image, the only thing I'm getting is Spawn Universe. Dark Horse. More Black Hammer stuff. This time Black Hammer Reborn. I just don't care about these characters. Imogen of Wording Way one shot. I think this is one of the Mike Mignola tie-ins. I'm sure it's fine. I'm just not interested. Kingdom Hearts, don't care. That's a $50 book. Lady Baltimore, Witch Queens. Lady Baltimore, kind of a cool title, but it didn't really seem that interesting. So nothing from Dark Horse. IDW, you got your Sonics. This is a 30th anniversary special for $9. That sounds like a cash grab. Most of these big anniversary things are a bunch of little stories, and if they had one large story or two regular comic stories together, fine, but it's never that. It just looks like a cash grab. Star Wars Adventures, that's supposed to be an okay book, but I don't like the art style. It's a little too goofy for me. I'm sure it's okay. IDW Star Wars stuff tends to be fairly middle of the road and aimed at younger people, so I'm sure it's fine. TMNT I gave up on. They lost me at Battle of the Bands a couple issues ago, so yeah, I'm going to eventually get around to reviewing the like 30 or 40 issues I have laying around, but when I saw they were doing a Battle of the Bands issue, I was like, nope, I'm out. Transformers, I'm dropping this title too. just issue 30 seemed like a good place to stop. I'm too far behind until I get caught up and see if it's maintaining its readability. I'm not that interested in dropping $4 every month. Transformers Back to the Future, I am going to get that because what a great crossover idea. So it's just Transformers Back to the Future from IDW this time. Marvel Comics, Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not reading it while Nick Spencer's on the book. His stories are boring. They're uninteresting. They're kind of dumb. And the art has been real garbage. Captain Marvel, again, garbage art. Look at this trash. Look at that lazy art. I've seen better than that on DeviantArt with weird sex stuff. So, not interested in that. They've ruined that character. Fantastic Four life story. Just not that interested in it. And it's $5. It could be good, but it's probably not. Gamma Flight. I don't care. They've ruined Alpha Flight so much that they now have to have a Hulk version of it. Guardians of the Galaxy was garbage, and it looks like it's going to be another boring storyline. Heroes Return, I am going to pick this up because it's the final issue of the Heroes Reborn story, which was surprisingly good, but they're just milking old titles off of miniseries and events to try and bilk people's nostalgia. They've done it with Heroes Reborn, and this issue's Heroes Return. Even though this is the final part of that storyline, they're making it a one-shot. They're also going to do that with Inferno with the X-Men. They're doing another Inferno story to kind of trick you into thinking it's got something to do with the original, which it doesn't. And that's how it looks anyway, so screw them. So $6 is probably overpriced, but I do want to see how the story ends because I thought it was actually pretty interesting overall. There were a few weak issues in the middle there, but could have been a lot worse. Valkyries, I don't care. Marvel Voices Pride. No. $10 for another anthology book that's just pandering nonsense. No, thank you. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 variant covers for that? No, that's not a cash grab. What are you talking about? Miles Morales is fake Spider-Man. These are now $100 for the Marvel Masterworks. So they jumped $25 in about a week. No, thank you. Reptile. No, that's a stupid character. Don't care. Silk. Could have been a more interesting character, but the writing has just been lazy, and they're watering down more spider powers. So just another Spider-Man knockoff, this time an Asian woman. Star Wars Darth Vader. This is supposed to be a pretty good series, but I'm going to wait and get one of the trades on discount somewhere. And they're doing a tie-in with the War of the Bounty Hunters, and I just don't care about that story. It's 22 parts. That sounds like a scam. There's a couple of collections. Sword, don't care about. Another X title that I'm not buying. And it's still part of that Gala storyline. U.S. Agent, this was stupid. Way of X, another X book about supervillain ethnostaters. No, thank you. Web of Spider-Man #2. The art is garbage and the story looks stupid, so no, thank you. Wolverine, not impressed with that where that comic went. And it's an X-Men book, and there's only one good X-Men book out there, and that's X-Men Legends, which I am going to buy because this is written and drawn by people that did work in the 80s and 90s. In this case, Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson. And it takes place around a tale set before the original X Factor number 43. So back when it was well written and with characters that were fun and not cheap knockoffs, and Iceman wasn't mind raped into being gay by creators that cared. So an artist I like with a writer I like, making the characters fun again. Yeah, this one I'll put money down for. So from Marvel, it's just going to be X-Men Legends and Heroes Return. Dynamite. We got Betty Page. Don't care. Dynamite Lives, where they do zombie things again, but this time they brought in Ash from Army of Darkness. Yeah, Red Sonja, don't care. $50 books, don't care. Red Sonja is just not good anymore. Vengeance of Vampirella. Vampirella and Vampirella versus Purgatory. The only one that might be good is this Vampirella versus Purgatory. Purgatory is from the old Chaos comics. So this might, the storyline might be okay, but don't buy the $50 version, obviously. So I don't think anything from Dynamite. Boom Studios. Oops. Dune House Atreides Volume 1. I got the single issues and it's not worth $25. Just get them out of a bargain bin. Firefly. It's probably okay. Good Luck. I don't care. Good luck with your book. Power Rangers. I'll probably pick that one up. Haven't decided yet. Proctor Valley Road. Not interested. Something is Killing the Children. Buy that in trade because it's a very slow book. So maybe just Power Rangers. Oh, look. You want a child in a chair for $225, half scale. Ooh, it's way too big. It's gonna be a big thing to put somewhere. A bust for $175 of Carnage. I'm sure it's cool, but $175 is a big drop. All right, so now we're into the other stuff. We have this name I can't pronounce. Hardcover, Volume 3. Price point's okay, but that art is just stupid looking. American Cult. The art's garbage. Archie at Riverdale High. I'm sure Archie's fine. It's a trade paperback for $11. That's actually a really good deal. So I'm sure that's fine if you like the Archie stuff. Same with Betty and Veronica. Friends Forever. Summer. It's only $3. I mean, I'm sure it's safe for younger readers or people that like that stuff. I don't know what that word even says, so I'm not going to try, but the cover looks like it's well done. I'm sure it's probably in manga. Baxter. Oh, check out this really powerful woman. Look, it's girl Johnny Quest, but with an indeterminate skin tone and a boyish haircut. So this looks awful. And it really looks like Johnny Quest. Wow. Okay, I'm not buying that. That is hot trash looking. But Quest, I haven't heard anything about it. And I'm not jumping in on issue 4 when it's $5. Blood on Tracks graphic novel, no thanks. Bloom, that's a stupid cover. No thank you. That looks hoary. No thank you. Blue Flame, I am going to pick this up. The first issue wasn't bad. It's clearly written toward the graphic novel or the trade paperback. It was a graphic novel idea somebody hacked up into bits. But the first issue was pretty fun. I'm willing to give it another issue, see if it gets better or if it just kind of meanders. If it meanders, I'm not going to get issue 3. Boarding School Juliet, that sounds like lesbian porn, which would pique my interest, but it's probably not, so not getting it. Card Captor Sakura. Wasn't Card Captor like a TV show or something? I'm not getting it either way. Cells at Work, baby. I don't know what that is, but I'm not interested. The art's weird, and I don't like chibi art. Chariot, that's Artists, Writers, and Artisans, so it's a Netflix pitch. No, thank you. Chunky, that art looks weird. Claire and the Dragons, #1. It's got a catchy title, but it's the Scoot imprint, which means this $1.99 book is actually just a preview of a trade paperback. And I don't think it looks very good. Crumman Chronicles. I don't know what that. Daily Lives of High School Boys. That sounds like Gage. That's a garbage book. Graded book. Don't care. Electric Black. Catchy title. Didn't sound interesting. Extraordinary, #1. That art is hilariously bad. No, thank you. That didn't sound particularly interesting either. Bunch of variant covers. Fuzzy Baseball graphic novel. I don't know what that is, but no, thank you. It does have dinosaurs playing baseball, so that would be a maybe, but it's volume 4, so I'd have to pass. But dinosaurs playing baseball is amusing enough. I would probably look at that. Geeky Fab 5. No, thank you. Gwendolyn Pooh in her lunchbox too. Again, why do these sound like porn? Giga, no, not interested. Girl with Sampanku eyes. That's obviously a manga, but I don't think I'd be interested in that one. This just looks weird. Grand Blue Dreaming. No, thank you. That looks like some sort of relationship book. Grim Fairy Tales. That's probably pretty entertaining. Xenoscope's got good stuff. If you want fantasy stuff, this would be fine, I'm sure. But I don't really like their hardcore fantasy fairy tale setting. The direct fantasy stuff. I want stuff that takes place on Earth, unless it's like Conan or something. Grubs. I've heard this is pretty good, but I'm not going to jump in. It's $5. That's a little too much. Horror comics. Antarctic Press is really hit and miss with their anthology books like this, so I'm going to pass. I can read. Well, I can already read, so no thank you. These are all level books for little kids. Friendbots, same thing. More of those. I like to read. Another level book. That's fine for little kids, but I'm a little old for that, and I can already read. Ice Nine Kills, Inked in Blood trade paperback. Title's way too long, but it's probably fine for a horror book. I don't know. The cover's cool. Inside Mari, that totally sounds like porn. Johanna and the Impossible Monsters. Don't use Simpsons words. It's just lazy. And that art is shit. Jungle Fantasy is basically somebody really wanted to see Sheena naked, so they drew some jungle chick naked a lot and probably getting plowed quite a bit. It's just softcore porn. I'm not interested. They have tons of covers for those too. Tank Girl, King Tank Girl. I was a little disappointed with what I saw of this first issue, so I've just been passing on it. It's probably fine. Albatross seems like a pretty good company, but it just didn't appeal to me. Kitchen Witch, that's a pretty catchy title, but again, looks like a manga. Kyle's Little Sister, again, sounds like porn. I'm gonna bang Kyle's little sister. Let's not talk anymore. Oh, that's actually a fun title. I'm gonna skip it though. Long distance graphic novel, not interested. Looks boring. Magic Treehouse, don't care. Loud Noise Summer Special, art's garbage. Looks like the usual Dexter's Laboratory kind of thing. Maria Lovett's Eros Psyche. Again, sounds like porn. It looks like porn. Another Madame Xanadu tribute cover here. They've been doing that a fair amount this past year. Dumb title, garbage art. Let's see. Mischief and Mayhem. No, thank you. Looks kitty. Modern Frankenstein. No. I'm kind of half protesting heavy metal at this point because of their asshole treatment of people online. So, and that looked really bad too. Mongolian Wind, art of Lu Ming, hardcover. This actually looks pretty cool for $20. The artist is pretty talented. So that's probably fine. It's an art book, but the artist is pretty solid. Monsterverse Titanthology, another anthology book. No, thank you. Mythics, I'm not interested. Nuclear Family, stupid. Nugget and Dog, that looks like an 8-year-old drew that. Oscar Martin's Solo, not interested. Peach Boy Riverside, still sounds like porn. Phantom on the Scan, catchy title, didn't look that interesting. Pleasure and Corruption, that looks like a porno. You guys know you can watch real porn, right? Like, you don't have to buy an art book for porn anymore. It's not the 1980s. Pup Detectives, not interested. Secrets of Chocolate, The art's garbage and it's got a stupid title. No, thank you. Shadow Services, trash. Shadow Man, I'm going to pick up. The first 2 issues weren't bad. Not a good introduction to the character, but it wasn't too bad. So I'll pick up issue 3. Strange Attractors. I'm not going to pick that up. It's Alive is really, really bad about their release times. It took them like 6 months to get Airboy 51 done. I don't even know if 52 ever came out. So their inconsistency makes me not want to buy it. Plus, I don't like the art style that much. Super Turbo. I don't know what that is, but the art looks like shit. Suppose a Kid from Last Dungeon moved. That's obviously a manga title, but I don't know. Might be interesting. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This seems to be a popular book for some reason. I've been seeing people talk about it online. But being reincarnated as a slime doesn't seem that interesting unless you're playing D&D. Thunder and Cluck, garbage art, not interested. Total waste of time. Well, that tells me all I need to know. Turtle in Paradise, art looks like trash. Vietnam horror. I just don't like horror books that much less war-based ones. Warlash Dark Noir. This looked like it might be kind of interesting. It's about a character, Warlash, in the apocalypse. It's got 4 stories in it, $7. I just don't like anthology books. They tend to be garbage, but this one did look fairly interesting. It's only 3 issues, and it's $7. It's kind of steep, but if you are getting 4 full stories in there, it might be okay. Wasted Space. Oh, that's what it would be in my collection. No, thank you. World of Archie. I'm sure it's fine. Witch and Beast. Don't care. Yeah, so I'm just getting Blue Flame and Shadow Man. I might get that Warlash if I can get a copy ordered in, but I doubt it. It's just $7 is too steep for a risk like that. So another real slim week. I did see something cool in the previews the other day. See if I can find it real quick. Here it is. You know how they have little green army men? They're doing those with Star Trek. So these are about 2 inches tall, and you get a copy of the ship. There's original series and Next Generation. And you get the main characters from the series and a little ship. The ship's like 4 inches tall, I think they said. So here's the Gorn. And they're little army builders. See if I can get a bigger image on that. So yeah, 12 2-inch figures plus a 4-inch Enterprise. So these look kind of cool, but they're really expensive at like $25. But that looked kind of neat as a gimmick. So if your kid's into like Green Army Men or something, you could get them a Star Trek set. And they'd probably make cool miniatures for D&D or, you know, a Star Trek role-playing game. So I thought I'd mention those too because I thought that looked cool. All right, now I'll check in with you guys and make sure I didn't cut out halfway through that. Oh, hey, Hyman. Hey, no one. Saw somebody mentioned Red Rooster. Didn't see the question though. Sales work. Osmosis Jones. Oh, okay. How did you get Gwendolyn from Geraldine? I don't know. How many pages in the average comic book these days? About 22. Down from the 32 when I was a kid. Hey, monkey. Being a Caribbean despot. If an artist goes to prison, do you think they sell drawings of porn? Yeah, probably. I would. Be a great way to get snacks. Speaking of unfinished books, how's Red Rooster? It did come out. He sent the trade paperbacks out, and it's okay. You could tell that issue 1 was written by a different person than issues 2, 3, and 4. There were a lot of more simplistic dialogue, because Mark Pellegrini wrote the original story, and then Mitch Breitweiser rewrote it to fit whatever changes he wanted to make. And you can really tell that he did that because the dialogue jumps significantly in quality. And you could tell that somebody that wasn't a professional writer, that didn't have a lot of experience, rewrote the dialogue. But for what it is, it's not bad. It would make a decent read for younger readers. So there's that. Oh, thanks, Gorbag. They justify it by being rip-off artists. Oh, I'm sorry. I got some chats here. Thank you, Baby Vaso. Watched your live stream about the Yelp reviews. It was awesome. While I understand the criticisms about impulsive bad reviews, I can't see any way of avoiding such things. With the cultural shift, how are stores dealing with all the woke comics? They're not doing very well with them. Most of the stores that I go to, they are constantly flooded with a bunch of stuff they can't sell. And they have to have product out, so it's a real nasty catch. So most of them are ordering to the limit of what they think they could sell, which is usually everything that the pull boxes or subscription people have, plus 10% or 20%. So they don't get stuck with a big flood of inventory. And that's really difficult because you never know when something's going to be a hit. And I've seen more people branching out into indie books. The one store I go to, they have a lot of gay customers. And even they're complaining about the constant swapping and making people gay that weren't gay before. And sales are down across the board. A couple of the shops I used to go to are out of business. That's why I used to go to them. And it's not surprising at all. So they're staggering along. A lot more of them are getting Funko Pops and toys and T-shirts and cashing in more on the TV shows and movies and general pop culture stuff, and the comic selection gets smaller. And also, thank you, Baby Basso. Do you prefer short or long stories? Same question for TV shows. It kind of depends. I would prefer that comics have story arcs of no more than 4 issues. That's long enough to put in a trade paperback if you really want to. But I don't need to go out and hunt down 5 issues that I may have missed for a story. If they were smart, they'd go back to the 32-page format, have a complete story in there for 32 to 48 pages, and release the books bi-monthly. That would probably be a better alternative. Then you could have Batman in January, and then in March, and in February you could have Detective Comics, and then in April another Detective Comics. And then do it that way, and then you could have 6 Bat titles alternating throughout the year. That's what I think they should do, and put them in prestige format like they did with 3 Jokers and several other books. Even the Black Label stuff like The Question, Deaths of Vic Sage, with the oversized format, that was better than what they're doing now, because those were $7, and what they're selling now is $5 to $6 for a regular comic. And those were easily twice the value of what you're getting. Look, yeah, I don't know how they're justifying the $5 to $6 price point, other than the fact that there's too many people working on them that want too much money. Look, this is not a big industry. You're not going to get rich. If they were smart, they'd be compressing things down and trying to figure out a much more marketable way for these characters and go more the route of manga. I'm sorry, it's the way it's probably going to end up for those that survive. Example dialogue. Hey, you okay? Yeah, to be continued. Yeah, pretty much. My local smaller and large shops sell manga and manga-related merchandise and comics. Yeah, it's because manga's catching on. Most of the shops that I've been to in the last 6 months don't have any manga. They don't understand it. They're mostly older guys running the place, and they don't want to take the gamble because they don't know enough about it to jump into that market. So they're trying to figure out ways to do that, and it's not easy. A prestige format is sort of like a thinner version of a trade paperback. So if you look at like your mass market paperback book from any bookstore in the world, slim it down to about 50 pages, and it's got that same kind of binding. They call it perfect binding, where it's glued and stitched instead of stapled. It gives it the ability to be put on a bookshelf, but it's not a very thick book, so they could charge less money for it. That's prestige format. Yeah, I've seen too many comic shops turned into tabletop trading card games that finally drop comics to survive. Yeah, it's happening a lot more. You're seeing more and more role-playing stuff pop up because there's a bit of a resurgence of that, mostly thanks to Stranger Things, I think. Plus, TSR is coming back. Apparently, Gary Gygax's kid has the TSR imprint, so he's going to start doing stuff with that, so that'll bring a little bit of interest in. It's almost like writing good product and marketing it to new generation of potential comic fans is a dead idea. Yeah, well, they're dumb because what they're doing is they're not selling what has historically been working for comics, which is action adventure. Your target demographic has always been young men. And unfortunately, they've gotten away from that and they want to insert agenda. They don't want to make it interesting or exciting. And when they do, it's never that exciting. It's a bunch of people that seem to have never seen an action movie. So it's really disappointing. So you have all these scenes where they're eating. A lot of the eating scenes and dream sequences that Louis just pointed out are padding. They have to have that because their storyline isn't going to fill 6 issues. And that's what they all are aiming for, is 6-issue story arcs to go into a trade paperback. Then they can charge $40 for it. Or 35, depending on the company. And that's a terrible idea. Because a lot of stories don't need that. They're taking stories that could be done in 1 issue and would have been 30 years ago and turning it into a 6-issue story that they can now put in trade paperback because they think that'll sell it, and it won't. It'll just sit on the shelf because it's $40 worth of boring. Oh, that's cool, Gorbag. Actually, Louis, the digital stuff doesn't sell. It's too easy to pirate, so you could go on half a dozen Russian sites and download them for free. Print on demand wouldn't be a bad idea. Drive-Thru Comics does it, and Amazon does it. The Amazon stuff's actually pretty good quality. I was kind of surprised by that. I bought half a dozen of them, and yeah, they were pretty impressive. That's where your donation money goes, is my comic habit and eating. So I take the money from these streams and reinvest it in the channel. And I bought some of those online ones from Amazon. They were nice quality. They were $7 or $8, but they're in nice format. They're not stapled. And you can put them on a shelf if you wanted. I got a couple of them for $5 a piece because they go on sale. And yeah, they were worth it. I enjoyed them. I thought they were fun, some creative stuff. But the digital stuff just doesn't sell. It's people want that. Eat the comics. I probably might have to at this rate. But the hardcore fans, especially the older ones, want something in their hands. They want that physical copy. Part of globalization. Yeah, they need to get used to it, the bigots, the stupid capitalists. Now, if they're smart, they'll take the Western-style comics and put them in a more digestible format, a digest format like they do with manga. They used to make digest format comics back in the 80s, and that's what a lot of Archie stuff is. That's why they're like $7. They're digest worth of stuff in there for that price. The problem is they don't put good quality paper on them or good binding. If they would upgrade the binding a little bit and try and keep that same price point, they would sell more. Put it in black and white for that matter. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Comic salad in Hidden Valley. Yeah, the Reader's Digest sized. That's how they used to do reprints. They did that with G.I. Joe and a couple other titles that escape me now. But they did a bunch of digest reprints that were in grocery stores. Because a lot of grocery stores didn't have comic books. But they'd have magazines and they'd have like the Reader's Digest. So there they had the racks for them. So since back then comics were distributed through magazine distributors, they just went to the digest format so they could get them in grocery stores that didn't carry comic books. And then they could still sell them, and they were like $1.95 at the time, and now like the Archie ones are $7 or $8, sometimes 10. But you'd get a couple issues in there, and you'd get your value for the dollar. If they went back to that formatting, they might be able to salvage something and get them back in stores. At least get them in bookstores for whatever that's worth these days, but they would have them on retail shelves. And the direct market is not going well for comics, so they're going to have to figure something out really fast here. Yeah, that's the trade-off, Oki, is you have to find a format that people like. And obviously with the sales of manga, that's the formatting they should be going for. They're trying to mimic the art style, and it's not working because it's this weird hybrid art style. Because a lot of Western audiences, especially traditional comic readers, don't particularly like that. So they're having a rough time with this weird amalgamation art that they're doing. The Batman books have been real bad about this. It's obviously a manga style, but slightly westernized. But they're doing all the things like exclamation points above people's head and question marks. And it looks really dumb because it doesn't match the art. It's too westernized for that. But they're trying to appeal to that manga crowd, and it's just not working. Everybody likes a good rack, Random. All right, let's get into our news. Now that I'm done bitching for 10 seconds about comics. Amazon Studios drops new inclusion policy to amplify marginalized voices. This is from IndieWire. Now remember, they have the Lord of the Rings license. And people are speculating that that's what this is for. This is from June 16th, so it's a couple days old. Amazon Studios today released a comprehensive inclusion policy that doubles down on its commitment to diversity, inclusion, and equity for its content and productions. The updates include a playbook with guidelines for its collaborators, which aims to support the goal of creating, quote, a home for talent of all backgrounds to tell stories that represent the joy, depth, complexity, and drama that exists across our world. So if I don't see indigenous people from New Guinea represented, I'm complaining. According to Amazon's release, the guide offers, quote, offers detailed and actionable recommendations as Amazon Studios continues to seek out stories and storytelling that amplifies voices across race, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, age, religion, disability, including mental health, body size, gender, gender identity, and gender expression for the global Prime Video audience, end quote. Okay, who in Chile gives a shit about half of this? Who in Thailand or Luxembourg gives a fuck about this stuff? Nobody. It's fucking stupid. Just tell a good story. With the establishment of our inclusion policy and inclusion playbook, Amazon Studios has committed itself to being a thought and action leader in the transformation of our industry. That doesn't sound ominous. Said Amazon Studios head Jennifer Salk. We know how much work there is to be done to improve representation both on camera and behind the scenes, and it starts at home with us. With clear directives and a commitment to accountability, these guidelines provide a path toward a more equitable future both on and off camera. Yeah, that's word salad for saying less whitey, from what I can tell. The inclusion policy covers 4 primary areas: development, hiring and production, reporting and documentation, and meeting goals. Specific goals include casting actors whose identities align with the characters they play. Well, you better hire a Kryptonian for Superman then. Hiring 30% women and 30% people of color on films and series with 3 or more above-the-line creators, including at least 1 speaking role for a character from stated underrepresented groups. Pay equity across cast and crew. Weren't you doing that before? And getting bids from women-owned companies as vendors. Okay, so you're going to have to get actual hobbits to play hobbits. And you got to have 30% women and 30% people of color. That doesn't sound like pandering at all. You're not getting hired for your token requirement. No, you're getting hired on your quality for sure. No, you're not. You're not going to be seen as a token. Letitia Gillespie, Amazon's studios head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That doesn't sound like a creepy Orwellian system. Said, we wanted to move beyond good intentions to creating mechanisms that hold us accountable to a high bar. This inclusion policy and inclusion playbook adds important additional depth and guidance for our internal teams and external partners to ensure we continue to advance our shared mission of amplifying the best creatives and content around the world. All these weasel buzzwords, inclusion, amplifying, accountability, mechanisms. Real people don't talk like this. The announcement arrives one day after a damning New York Times front page expose on Amazon's inhumane labor practices throughout the pandemic. One of the many egregious revelations in that piece included the disproportionate number of promotions opportunities for workers of color, which make up a majority of Amazon workforce, while higher ups in the company tend to be majority white. Okay, so this is stupid. You're just pandering shamelessly and not even trying to hide it. And it's stupid, and it's going to make for bad stories because they're going to hire somebody that's incompetent based off of their genitals or their skin tone or mental illness and make a bunch of stuff that nobody wants to see. We're a waste of time. So Amazon's going woke. Accountable to whom? The activists. That's who. They don't really give a shit beyond that. This is about pandering to the activists. Oh, there's no prize, just death camps in the future. I mean, yeah, the prize is equity. Yay. And for one that I didn't have on the list, Batman Forever star Val Kilmer speaks out about the viral Batman Catwoman controversy. For those that don't know, the Harley Quinn cartoon tried to have a scene where Batman was going down on Catwoman, and DC put the kibosh on that, saying, you know, this is a branding thing. We're not doing porn with our characters. So, yeah, that got kind of simplified, but Val Kilmer weighed in. Val Kilmer may only have played Batman in one movie, but he's still got intimate knowledge of the Dark Knight's intimate habits. How? The Batman Forever star has weighed in on viral news story about an R-rated scene involving Batman and Catwoman that was reportedly cut from the third season of HBO Max animated series Harley Quinn. And let's see. Oh, it's not going to play. He seems fine with it. This is just stupid nonsense articles that keep coming out. Why are you interviewing Val Kilmer about this? The guy played Doc Holliday in Tombstone. He wants to forget Batman Forever. He was in Spartan. He's been in way better movies since and before Batman Forever. Ask him about Real Genius, not Batman going down on Catwoman. Who fucking cares? Your price is a new train car. Yeah, no, they'll give you an old one. Oh, thank you, Baby Vaso, for the donation. Hypothetically speaking of the progressive crowd, change the gender and if or orientation of a classic character, but kept everything else the same, would that bother you? It depends how pointless it was. Like, a lot of these, they're just doing it to do it. I think intentionally trying to gin up problems like the Anne Boleyn where they cast a black woman. I think with the historical stuff, they shouldn't be messing with that because you're just confusing dumb people, and that's unnecessary. But if the change is just superficial, I don't care. It's usually not just that, though. They're doing it to either gin up controversy or to slap the fans. And they'll tell you that, too. So that's what I generally have a problem with, is they're doing it. There's no reason to do it. They're just doing it to piss people off. And they think they're being edgy by doing it. Yeah, no, and he had real bad throat cancer. And he almost died. He looked awful. and he still kind of does. So I don't know if he's. Last I heard, it was coming back, but I don't know. Oh, hey, Buster. All right, let's see what is up next. We've got Marvel Studio execs shocks. If we don't go woke, we will go broke. Oh, they got to double down on the wokeness, guys. And this is from Bleeding Fool. Go woke is an effective strategy that one outspoken Marvel executive believes is the way forward for Marvel to keep delivering hits and how it plans to keep those hits coming in the future. Marvel Studios Executive Vice President of Production, Victoria Alonso, told Deadline that she believes the secret to Marvel's continued success and why every Marvel Studio movie is #1 at the box office on opening weekend is simple. The MCU audience is global. That does not equate to being woke. The reason that we have been successful consistently is because our audience is global. You cannot have a global audience and not somehow start to represent it. For us, it was really, really, really important to have that trait, to have that. No, it's not. Good storytelling brings in audiences because there's universal themes. Movies like Star Wars touch on universal themes. That's why it was popular around the world with a largely white cast and a Wookiee. And Lando. They had fucking Lando Calrissian in there. You don't have to have an Inuit to represent every Inuit so Inuits will go see your movie. That's fucking stupid. This is baby brain thinking. Alonso then elevated films like Captain Marvel and Black Panther, adding, you can look at it from the social point of view, the cultural point of view. I don't think people in Africa give a fuck about Captain Marvel or Black Panther. They're wanting a good movie to escape the horrors of their life. If they're in some war-torn, God-forsaken shithole like Beirut or the Congo anywhere, then yeah, they probably want to see escapism. They don't want to see pandering, shallow laziness. For the longest time, we heard a woman-led film will never open. Oh, really? Alien? I say, please check Captain Marvel made a lot of money. That doesn't mean it was good. It means everybody thought it tied into Endgame. Then they always told us that Black Panther was never going to open and that nobody wanted a completely black cast. Nobody said that. And that made 1.3 billion. So you can look at it from the social point of view, the cultural point of view. Black Panther succeeded because it was a movie that was entertaining and it had a story arc, very similar to The Lion King. But it was a movie that was following universal themes. That's appealing to everybody. That's fucking dumb. Representation, according to Alonso, is a requirement for the MCU's continued financial success. You're leaving money on the table by not representing. How about you tell a good story instead? She said, from a financial point of view, you are leaving money on the table by not representing. I think 51% of our audience is female. 28% of our audience is Hispanic. If we don't represent the people that watch what we make, eventually they'll go somewhere else because somebody else will figure it out. That's so. You think that Latinos will only go see movies that have Latinos in them? You think women will only go see movies that have women in them? Explain Brad Pitt's career. Alonso noted, when I walk in a room, I do a head count of how many women. If there are only 3 women in the room and there's 17 men, I usually make this comment. Oh, there's a lot of men in here today. Is it passive aggressive? No, you can take it that way if you have a dirty conscience. Yeah, okay. It's really calling it what it is. It's my reality, but I'm 15% of that equation. So your reality doesn't conform to normal people reality. And she looks like a weirdo. Bless her heart. It's worth mentioning that this is the same Marvel employee who, when asked how the about Marvel's future and the X-Men's involvement in it, now that Disney has acquired Fox Studios, she quickly admitted she had an issue with the X-Men's name. The X-Penis Bearers. I don't know where the future is going, Alonso told Nuke the Fridge. Okay, we're making a Kingdom of the... Okay, Indiana Jones reference, everybody. It's funny that people called it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated. Oh, the X-persons are coming, kids. Buckle in. During Women in Animation's virtual fireside chat, the diversity-minded Marvel exec explained how the upcoming 10-part series What If, Marvel's first foray into animation since becoming its own production company, is enabling creatives to explore a more inclusive universe. What If gives us an opportunity to look at things through a different lens. It's full of surprises. It includes the characters we know and love who are doing other things, and a lot of different characters too. That was a bunch of nothing words. Her claims that no one else is making movies with female leads or that people are saying an all-black cast couldn't succeed are dubious at best. Cultural critic Erik Larsen shared his own personal perspective on Miss Alonso's claims as well as Marvel's confidence in their representation. Yeah, I'm not watching Eric's video. But this is dumb. Oh, you have to have a Chilean local for a Chilean to enjoy a Marvel movie. How about big explosions and gunplay? That's been pretty successful historically. Fucking dumb. These people are stupid. We did that shit in the 80s. Yep. Victim points failing upward. Yep. So hire someone who disdains comics. Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, it's weirdly egotistical to say that you won't see a movie with people that don't look like you. Yep, exactly, Monkey. You're 100% right. This is just more lazy pandering. Oh, thank you for the donation, Circa Zero. I'm late. Can we start over? Lol. No, but you can rewind. Sorry. Too far. All right. Next up, let's talk about Erik Larsen. Oops. Image Comics CFO, that's Chief Financial Officer, Erik Larsen claims Marvel and DC bosses might shut down new comics production. It's because their stuff's not selling worth shit. By the way, Larsen's art is getting weirder and weirder as he gets older. All right, there's the cover of one of his issues. His book seems to be just kind of softcore porn. Larsen made the comments after expressing his views on piracy. He wrote on Twitter, on the piracy debate, there is no debate. It's criminal behavior. People are struggling to make a living, and you're taking what they're creating without giving them compensation. There's no justification. Well, he's not wrong. Piracy is theft. That's why it's piracy. In response, author N. Thompson Hansen wrote, where do you draw the line for bloated, cross-title, blatant cash grab stories that Marvel consistently pulls with their main titles, though? Look at X of Swords from last year. Is it fair to expect a kid who's reading X-Men to buy 22 comics, $100 plus, over 3 months? Don't buy them. That's the easiest way to send a message about that shit. This would trigger a back and forth between Larsen and Hansen. Larsen responded, there's nothing about that which entitles you to own it. If it's too expensive, don't buy it. I don't disagree with him here. Stealing it isn't necessary. Why would you want to steal that garbage anyway? That storyline was dog shit. And on top of that, the art was bad and they wanted too much money for it. I'm just going to ignore it. Why waste my time downloading something that is garbage? So it's shit in writing and art. They turn the X-Men into villains, and it's a 22-part storyline. I don't have time to read a 22-part storyline. What a complete waste of my time. Hansen responded in kind, it's less of a problem of entitlement as it is a problem of corporate assumption that all consumers are able to withstand that rate of content. Imagine a landlord giving you notice that the next 2 months you have to pay rent, then pay them rent 7 times as much as usual to keep your apartment. That's a garbage analogy because you need housing. You don't need comic books. That's really all there is to it. Then Larsen would reveal that the bosses at DC and Marvel are threatening to stop production of new material because they're floundering and failing. It's because their books are boring. He explained these companies are floundering and failing. Huh, we just heard that. The threat from upstairs is that they'll go to all reprints and stop producing new material. They're doing everything they can to stay alive. If you can't afford it, do without. I don't disagree with him here on the don't steal it. Just from a moral level, stealing's bad, okay? But if they went to all reprints and stopped producing new material, that really wouldn't surprise me. Because their reprints are of the old stuff that people have nostalgia for, and they're better written stuff. They need to get people in there that can write and aren't writing garbage, woke nonsense that's really of the moment. They need to get more universal themes in there, more action adventure, more explosions and gunplay. All they have to do is find people that can write like they did in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, not mid or later, or the 70s, and make it more concise, lower the target demographic back down to younger readers or like high school level, and try and sell that way. That's where the manga audience is high school and up, sometimes even younger than that. But they're not doing that. Instead, they're doing all this woke shit that doesn't sell. And they haven't learned this yet. Corporations are slow and they have to get rid of people. Hansen responded, of course I do agree with everything you're saying. Stealing from artists and creators is wrong in all scenarios. It's really just a specific instance that came to mind when a company's decision made me scratch my head because it almost inherently begets pirating. While Marvel and DC Comics sales numbers are now much harder to come by, given DC no longer distributes with Diamond and Marvel has also left the distributor. Remember, they went to Penguin. You can still get stuff through Diamond for now, and you'll still be able to, but the discounts are going to get worse, so it's just going to drive people over to Penguin Random House to get it. Adult graphic novel sales released monthly by NPD Bookscan shows North American comics getting absolutely trounced by Japanese manga. Maybe it's because of the action-adventure element and good storytelling. The latest data from May revealed that not one single North American comic was in the top 20 on NPD's Bookscan's top 20 adult graphic novels chart. Every single listing was Japanese manga, with Attack on Titan Volume 33 taking the top spot. Other titles in the top 20 included My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, something I can't pronounce, Tokyo Ghoul, Spy X Family, Toilet Bound Haneko-kun. Again, that sounds like a porno. Komi Can't Communicate, also sounds like a porno. Hunter x Hunter, and Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of these you'll note. Look at that action on the cover. Look at the average Marvel cover. There's no action. There's just somebody standing around posing. And the image rarely has anything to do with what happens in the issue. It's just a stagnant image. This looks like, okay, this guy's in some trouble. He's outnumbered. He's got a sword. He's got a determined look on his face. He's in trouble, so there's peril. He's got a weapon, so there's action. Guy's grabbing him. He's outnumbered. That looks interesting. Marvel Comics look boring. The trade dress on here looks set. Okay, it looks like the header you can see from the top of a display rack, which usually cuts off to about here. So you'll be able to see this on the shelf. The spine, because it's perfect bound, will have the title on the side as well. So they can put it like on a bookshelf. Or they can put it so it's face out. So it'll appeal to more people. They can market it in different ways. Marvel's trade dress is all over the place. They'll have the title down here. It'll be on some weird orange shit. And the Marvel logo won't really appear anywhere. It'll be tiny if it is on there. It'll be like by the UPC. It's dumb. They have no idea how to market their own stuff anymore. But everybody learned from Marvel in the 70s and 80s. That's why a lot of these manga guys, they were inspired by the Western comics of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now they're profiting off of it by making their own stuff that's replacing the big two. Not only are Japanese manga dominating the adult graphic novel chart, but reprints make up a hefty percentage of the top 20 superheroes graphic novel chart. Of course they do, because the new stuff sucks. In fact, the top spot on the list belonged to DC Comics 2019 Alan Moore's Watchmen. So a book from 1986 is still the top-selling reprint. Other reprints on the list included Batman the Long Halloween, Batman the Killing Joke, deluxe hardcover. That's from, like, what, 1988? Batman Year 1, the EC Archives, Tales from the Crypt Volume 1, Sandman Volume 1, 30th Anniversary Edition, Watchmen Deluxe Edition. Almost all these books are 30 years old. So I'm not surprised. That means 35% of the top 20 list were dominated by older books. Maybe that should send a message to Marvel and DC to go back and look at how things were done back then and use that as a template for modern books. But they won't do that. They're too ingrained and afraid of the Twitter crybabies. What do you make of Erik Larsen's comments? Yeah, I don't think he's wrong. I don't necessarily disagree with anything he said there. Yeah, they look boring, but then you read it and it's boring. The art is shit. Why is blurry an art style now? That's how the mangas look. They do a lot of action lines. It's not a style I like. I know what they're trying to do, and they're trying to make it look like motion lines, but I don't like that. That's why I don't like manga. That and the weird big eyes, that's nightmare fuel for me. Hey, old guy, how you doing? So, yeah, I don't know what they're thinking and why they won't just look to the past for this stuff. So, I think they're foolish. So, yeah, I think Marvel and DC are probably going to end up folding. Speaking of which, I think I have an article on DC here. From Bleeding Fool, are more layoffs ahead for DC Comics, Cartoon Network, and Rooster Teeth? This is actually from last week, but I forgot to cover it. Warner Media is merging with Discovery, and the companies expect the deal to be finalized in the middle of next year. They also anticipate the merger will result in an annual cost-cutting savings of $3 billion, and that usually means layoffs. Warner Media went through several rounds of deep staff cuts after AT&T's purchased the company in 2018, as John Stankey, who led the unit for a time, slimmed down the operations. That's typical when there's redundancies and they have to cut costs. Executives and managers were let go as he combined HBO, Warner Brothers, and CNN and the other cable networks under a single management team. When Jason Kilar came aboard last year, he cut further. Over 2,000 employees were laid off in the process. Now we're seeing reports that Discovery CFO Gunnar Weinfels is looking at more cost-cutting synergies. God, the corporate speak is obnoxious. There's so much structure efficiency potential in the combination that we can afford to make those content investments and get much more beneficial financial profile. Translation, we got too many people. I want to save some money and look good. When the Discovery financial chief set to play a key role in the critical integration of the Discovery and Warner Media units, Weidenfels was asked how both companies can best capture value creation from their mega merger. The companies expect $3 billion in cost savings synergies after 2 years. To realize $3 billion in cost savings will inevitably mean more layoffs at both Warner Media and Discovery. Yeah, they're going to get rid of everybody that's got a redundant job. If the merger is approved, David Zalzov said there was a treasure trove of talent at Warner Media and emphasized the fact that Discovery doesn't make scripted shows. No, they're relying on like the Honey Boo Boos and documentary stuff. They did a documentary on Onision and Chris Hansen. That's exclusively on Discovery Plus. It's not a sign-up reason, by the way. So which Warner companies will get gutted with the layoffs first? Will it be DC Comics, Cartoon Network, Rooster Teeth, all the above? Clownfish thinks it'll be all the above. And then there's a link to their video. I think more likely they're going to start with Rooster Teeth and then probably worked their way up. Cartoon Network's probably going to get the axe pretty hard. DC Comics could just get shut down. But this guy's talking about saving $3 billion. There's going to be a lot of cutoffs and tightening. So I think Warner Media is probably going to get gutted pretty hard. But they need a lot of content out of Warner at the same time. So it's going to still be there in some respect. Whether or not they keep publishing comics, if they keep jacking the price up, nobody's going to be buying their comics. The sales are going to plummet. Thank you, Baby Vaso, for the donation. Could the push for inclusion in all this nonsense stem from the brain trust that these companies no longer knowing what to do with these characters? I don't know if it's that or if it's just that they're shamelessly trying to pander to groups that they think are stupid and can't see the entertainment value in anything that doesn't look like them. It really seems like a really racist perspective that you can't enjoy a program just because you're not the skin color of the people in it, or they don't have the same sexuality as you, or something like that. It seems really sexist and racist that you think people's brains work that way. But I can see why you might think that they don't know what to do with the characters, because they probably don't. I think it could be a combination of all of that, of just generally incompetent people trying desperately, flailing around, trying to find something successful, and at the same time appeal to their friends at social gatherings, because that's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, leasing the IPs is probably where their best money is at. Does Rooster Teeth have anyone left? Yeah, they still do, shockingly. And it wouldn't surprise me if they all get fired, because Rooster Teeth is really not very useful to them. It's just an IP farm, and they haven't done anything successful in a while. Yeah, it's sad what happened to Warner Brothers. They used to be beautiful, and now they're just a flaming mess of wokeism. Yeah, exactly, Buster. Once they're pricing out people, they've already priced kids out of this. Kids don't have that much money. They have what the parents give them. And if they get $20 a week in allowance, you could buy 3 comic books now. Why would you do that when you could go buy some used video games and get hours of entertainment? They're not trying to compete. Manga is a much better value for the dollar. You get over 100 pages most of the time for like $15. You might get 60 pages out of your $20 for a comic book from a Western industry. It's not even going to be a complete story. It's a waste of money. You're better off buying back issues. I can go hit the dollar bin and pull out 5 good books for $5. Sometimes even less if I hit the 50-cent boxes at the right stores, and find some readable copies of something from 30 years ago and get way more entertainment out of it. And I'm more likely to get a complete story. So this is a complete scam. The last issue of Batman I bought was $5, and it was boring as fuck. And that's why I'm dropping Batman. It's stupid. Oh, thanks for dropping links there, James. I appreciate that. Kids are spending their money on Robux. I don't know what that is, but I'll take your word for it. All right, now we have some other sad news. It's a creepy thing that someone like Weinstein was actually keeping the entire industry focused on story profit. Yeah. But he knew how to make money. He may be a degenerate weirdo and a creepy fat guy, but I wouldn't leave my kids alone with him, and I definitely don't want to see him at the dark end of an alley that I can't escape out of. But the guy could make movies at least and knew what worked. Hollywood's really lost their way, and the entertainment industry in general has been infested with these cultural parasites that want to destroy everything we love. So Gavin MacLeod of the Love Boat and Mary Tyler Moore fame passed away. This is from last week. It's on CBR. So Captain Stubing has sailed away into the great dark night at 90 years old. And I thought this was sad because, kind of a piece of, not nostalgia from the old days when shows were a little more simplistic. I never liked The Love Boat, but I knew plenty of people that did. I never really liked Mary Tyler Moore either, but he was one of those cultural icons of his time. His ex-wife helped him convert to evangelical Christianity in the 80s, and the two remarried. Well, if the milk was sour, you don't put it back in the fridge and hope that it's good again the next day. That's what my uncle told me. And he married his ex-wife and divorced, and he would know. They had a show on the Trinity Broadcasting Network for over a decade called Back on Course. In 2013, he released a book, This Is Your Captain Speaking, My Fantastic Voyage Through Hollywood, Faith, and Life. He actually was on a lot of shows in the 70s and 80s, so that would probably be an interesting read, minus the evangelical parts. So a sad loss, a cultural remnant from the past. So if you were a big 70s person, this probably is a little more important to you. But yeah, sad to see the captain go. Yeah, I liked Fantasy Island back in the day, but I was a little kid. I don't really remember it. All right, and also in sad news, Ned Beatty, actor of Deliverance and Superman, died at 83. This is from CNN. He will now squeal like a pig on the other side. Ned Beatty, Oscar-nominated character actor whose work included Deliverance and Superman, died at 83. Ned passed away from natural causes Sunday morning, surrounded by his family and loved ones. Shelter Entertainment Group talent manager Deborah Miller told CNN. Beatty's first film role gained him lasting notice in the 1972 film Deliverance as one of 4 Georgia men who go on a harrowing canoe trip. Can you imagine that being your first film role? Is that everybody remembers you getting sodomized by a hillbilly? That's not a good career starter. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 1976's Network, played the bumbling Otis in 1978's Superman, and had countless other theater, TV, and movie roles. He was once hailed by Daily Variety as the busiest actor in Hollywood, according to his agency, Shelter Entertainment Group. Beatty was born and raised in Kentucky, fishing and working on farms. He started as a professional performer at age 10 when he earned pocket money singing in gospel quartets and a barbershop. That's kind of cool. After Beatty had long theater stints in Virginia, in Washington, D.C., and on Broadway, film director John Boorman selected him to play Bobby Tripp, who was sexually assaulted in the unflinching thriller Deliverance. That movie is not that good. It's known for that scene, and otherwise it's kind of disturbing, especially because they kill an innocent dude. It's a whole mess. Other films include All the President's Men, The Big Easy, Hear My Song, and more recently, The Walker, Charlie Wilson's War, and Shooter. So he had a hell of a career. Even though Deliverance, I think, was probably one of his worst movies, because I really don't like that movie. I think it's very overrated, and the rape scene doesn't help. It's sad to see him go at 83. So rest in peace, Ned Beatty. John Voight might be the last of them. Yeah, is Burt Reynolds dead? I don't remember. Yeah, he's in Captain America. Yeah. He's been in a bunch of movies. So it's not surprising that you probably have seen something he was in and maybe not even realized it. All right, next up, this is from ICV2. This is an industry website. IDW Media Holdings loses $508,000 in most recent quarter. IDW continued its losses, reporting a $508,000 loss in its fiscal Q2, ending April 30th, 2021. This was an improvement over the $647,000 loss a year ago in this period. A substantial chunk of losses came from a write-off of $231,000 in the quarter for game costs, advanced royalties, and vendor deposits for games that will no longer be produced after a review of its game development costs. Now, some of their games are actually pretty good. I liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game they did. I thought it was pretty cool. Something to do with the sewer. I don't remember. You can still find it on Amazon. It was like $75 for the longest time. I got a copy when one of the local comic shops went out. I got it for $25, brand new, and I got a free copy of the Splinter character add-on. So that was really cool. But they've had some good games, and they're tightening up their wallet quite a bit. This contributes to the continuing appearance that IDW is winding down state game business, although game sales were up $106,000 over the previous year in the period due to fulfillment of direct-to-consumer campaigns. They do a lot of Kickstarters, and that is a good move for them, I think, if they're going to keep doing games, which they should because their games seem to be pretty popular, and they're not bad. Like I said, I like the TMNT one, and there was another one I liked, but I don't remember what it is. I can't see my game bookshelf from here. IDW publishing sales, including games, rose to $5,988,000 from the quarter from $4,681,000 in the year ago period, which included 4 weeks of Diamond Comic Distributors COVID shutdown. So they actually gained money even though Diamond was shut down. And Diamond is one of their main distributors. In addition to the shutdown, IDW cited several high-performing direct market sales and increased direct-to-consumer sales as contributors to the increase, offsetting an increase in discounts and returns of $58,000, which is a drop in the bucket in returns. Sales and profits for IDW Publishing were on par with the results in IDW's fiscal Q1 ended January 31st. Overall profits for IDW Media Holdings, including publishing, its entertainment division, the impact of sales of its CTM division, which closed in this quarter, were $2,541,000, up from a $354,000 loss in the year ago period. So they're actually seeing a lot of improvements, and I think this is good. I like IDW overall. I think their games are pretty good, what I've played of them, and I like a lot of their comics. Unfortunately, their comic division, they don't have original stuff. They only have licensed things. But it looks like they have managed to really kind of staunch the bleeding a little bit. For a while, they were losing like $2 million. So they've got it down to $508,000, which is an improvement over last year by almost $140,000. This is really not huge numbers for a company of their size. And they did that Winona Earp show, which I don't think they're doing anymore. But they do seem to be improving. So this isn't necessarily the bad sign people are making it out to be. It shows that they are turning things around. Unfortunately, they did hire Heather Antos, and I don't think that was a good move because she's not a very good editor, in my opinion. Especially after reading a lot of like Exo Man of War and what was the other title they did? Visitor. Those were garbage. Some of the other stuff that Valiant was doing under her tutelage was just garbage. So I think this is a step in the right direction for IDW, but time will tell. Hopefully they can continue to improve things. Yeah, a big chunk of that loss is a write-off from their games division where they're not going to do certain games anymore. If they just stick to doing crowdfunders and doing those, they would be doing a lot better, I think, instead of just making something to see if it would sell. She brings the milkshake to the bigot. Nice. Lonnie Anderson played Pamela Anderson's on an episode of VIP. Oh, that's funny. Oh, Ronnie Cox is still alive. That's awesome. Yeah, they have some investment capital still. So, I don't know. I think if they can maintain this level where they're getting slightly better each quarter, they could be profitable in a few years. But they have to survive that long. But again, I read a lot of their comics, and their comics are pretty well done. I'm not a My Little Pony person. I've heard that's a good series. The Sonic one seems to sell pretty well. They both do well at all three of the shops I go to. And even some of the other stores that I've been to in the past year or so have had My Little Pony and Sonic stuff for younger readers. And the Bronies and Sonic people, whatever they're called. The Chris Chans of the world. So there is a market for that. Plus the Transformers stuff has been overall not bad. their crossovers have been better than others. The regular series is just kind of okay. I haven't read Escape yet. Beast Wars sucked ass. That's a terrible book. But the crossovers like Back to the Future, the Ghostbusters, My Little Pony crossovers, those have been doing really well. And they used to do crossovers with G.I. Joe. The one they did with Rom was really good. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there for them to make money, but they have to kind of be consistent about what they're doing. Yeah. More companies need to really kind of ignore Twitter and do what's going to make them money. The more crowdfunders they do, the better off they're going to be in the long run, quite honestly. It saves a lot of money, and you know if there's interest in a specific thing. So let's get to the next one. YouTuber John Campea, I don't know, details horrific experience at Disneyland. Excuse me a second. Had to cough, sorry. YouTuber John Campea recently detailed a horrific experience he at Disneyland ended up costing him $1,500. This is from Bounding into Comics that desperately needs an editor. Oh, it is the editor. Sorry, John. Campea posted on Facebook where he declared, "I will probably never go back again." Campea began detailing his experience, stating that he bought a pair of park hopper tickets and a night at the Grand Californian Resort Hotel that cost him around $1,500. He specifically noted that he wanted to experience the Rise of the Resistance ride and the new Spider-Man ride at the Avengers campus. However, he did not get to experience either. This is such a weird method of doing things for Disney. He explained, now in order to do either Resistance or Spider-Man, you have to go into a virtual queue on the day of your tickets. You can't do it in advance for some demonic, idiotic reason. So we got up in time to register on the app for the Resistance ride at 7 a.m. And right at 7 a.m. it told us it was fully booked. What? He continued, okay, so already half of our reason for spending $1,500 was gone. Okay, our park hopper tickets don't let us get into the California Adventure Park till 1 p.m. So we attempted the 12 p.m. virtual queue opening for the Avengers ride. And you guessed it, at 12 p.m. we tried and it was booked. That's really dumb. From there, he stated, so we spent $1,500 for nothing. We thought, okay, we just got extremely unlucky. We'll cancel our Disneyland tickets and reschedule them for another day. But guess what? If you want to refund or reschedule the day of your tickets, you have to do it at least 24 hours in advance. So that means by the time you find out you don't get to use the attraction you went there for, you're too late to get a refund or change dates. Disneyland has essentially just told us, we've got your money now, suckers. That's what it sounds like. Campea also noted, so basically you're paying Disneyland for the chance that you might be able to ride the attraction you went there for in the first place with no hope of a refund or rescheduling if you can't. It's a disgrace, and I'll never give another dollar to that racket. He elaborated on YouTube. There's a video. You can go watch it on your own. I'm not watching this video. I don't care enough. Campea's experience came the same day as Disney CEO Bob Chapek touted their park experience in an interview at the Credit Suzy 23rd Annual Communications Conference. During the interview, Chapek stated, in the interest of sort of contactless guest experience during the COVID time, we've drastically improved our mobile ordering opportunities in the park, contactless check-in of our hotels, virtual queues. It sort of releases the guests to do more things inside the park and enjoy the park, have a better experience, but also have an opportunity to experience more things and for us to track you. And obviously that has a new revenue impact for us. Yeah, because they can make a fortune off of that. He concluded, we just manage the guest flow and overall experience so you can have the same number of people or more people in the park, but at the same time give them a better experience. And these are all the things that, frankly, without stoppage of COVID, we never would have had the chance to completely reset like we've done. It doesn't appear that the virtual queue gave John Campea a better experience. One has to wonder how many others have had this happen to them as well. That does not surprise me. I bet this has happened to quite a few people. And Disney just doesn't give a fuck. They've already got your money. They don't give a shit if you don't get on the ride you wanted. You already gave up your money, sucker. And I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose. Why not? Why would you want to make your customers happy if you don't have to? You already got their money. And they've been jacking up prices on everything at Disney. This is going to blow up in their face, especially if we end up in some kind of economic recession because people aren't working for whatever reason. I don't think that's going to go over well for Disneyland. But they don't really care. They're slow to change. Hey, Lester, how you doing? Just checking in on you guys here. Sorry you're late. You're not late. Hey, Fourth. You're never late when you show up because you can always rewatch it later. So, yeah, this guy got screwed over. The fact that he's a YouTuber means he's got some reach and influence. So he may actually have convinced people not to go because he had a bad experience. And a legitimately fair gripe. I totally would understand the frustration of spending that kind of money because that's a lot of money to the average person. The CEO, Bob Chapek, he doesn't give a shit. He's a millionaire. And I think there's a disconnect between upper management at Disney and their customer base. $1,500 is a lot of money. Oh, I'm sure they overbooked, Greg. I have no doubt about that. But you spend $1,500. He probably drove there too, as I'm guessing, because flights would have added another $300-400, maybe more, depending on how many people went with him. But you're spending $1,500-2,000 to go because you want to see these new attractions, and then you can't get in. I'd be pretty pissed. So I could understand the frustration there easily. All right, only 2 more stories left, and then I will take a couple questions or whatever, chat for a minute, and then we'll close up shop. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's always appreciated. And I'm glad everybody came out today. Thank you for coming out and supporting the channel. All right. Next up is Indiana Jones director James Mangold throws temper tantrum over after fan voices concerns about his upcoming movie. And this is also from Bounding Into Comics. They really do some really good reporting on this stuff, so that's why I like them. And this was something. Indiana Jones 5 director, because remember Steven Spielberg not touching this mess. So they got James Mangold to do it, and he threw a big hissy fit on Twitter. Twitter user and YouTuber, stop starting shit with YouTubers on purpose, you guys. They have enough drama, nonsense they can cover. You don't need to create your own. Posting his concerns about the upcoming film. Kaddish said, to anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, let me point out Steven Spielberg is not directing. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. Harrison Ford is 78. It's written by Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote Solo. Those are legitimate concerns. Solo was a pretty mediocre film. I saw it. I was like, it was all right. It would have been a better space heist movie if it didn't say Star Wars and feature Han Solo. But it's quibbles. You know, it was okay. I disagreed with some of what they did, but I've seen worse movies. Last Jedi was way worse. Steven Spielberg not directing means there's a lack of vision, an original vision anyway. Kathleen Kennedy, we saw what she did to Star Wars, and some of the casting for this movie has been pretty suspect. Harrison Ford being 78, it's not going to be a big action movie. Supposedly there's some flashbacks where they de-age him a little bit. I don't know if that's going to sell me on it. And if you didn't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you're probably going to not like this. Mangold would directly respond by insulting Kaddish. He wrote, thanks, Matt. Number 1, keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement. Wow, a basement joke. Thanks, Boomer. Number 2, never see the script by John. Nothing against him, just reality. Buttersworth and I started from a blank page. Well, shouldn't you have started by seeing what was done in the previous movies? Number 3, 1 to 3 are hugely talented and all at my side. Grow up, dude. Mangold wouldn't stop there, though. He continued to insult and deride Kaddish and his podcast team, the Salty Nerd. That's okay. That sounds like a show dedicated to peanuts. The Salty Nerd would tweet, "We don't have a basement. We have a kick-ass studio and a Batman statue." Okay. Why are you getting into it with this moron Hollywood weirdo? Mangold replied, "Yeah, that's a kick-ass studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish my film and then bitch all you want about it in front of your vinyl bricks lit by your fancy bounce lights, and maybe don't call opinion news." This guy is a big baby. Do you really want to see a movie about somebody that acts this childish and unprofessional? Because that's what this is. This is very unprofessional. Don't you have a movie to direct? Shouldn't you be focusing on that instead of Twitter and arguing with some nobodies that I've never heard of and most of the other people in the world haven't heard of? Instead, you're wasting your time doing this. That tells me you don't have that much interest in your own movie. Before, Mangold described Kaddish as a clickbaiter and nightcrawler. He wrote in response to a Twitter user encouraging him, "Thanks, X. I don't mind people griping and prognosticating, but on my watch, false info, ageism, and snark from so-called journalists is going to be confronted directly and forcefully. In my opinion, these clickbaiters like to dish it out, but like nightcrawlers can't stand the light." No, you're just giving them tons of free content. They're going to babble on about this for 2 months. Easily. There's still people talking about The Last Jedi. And it's been, 3 years? So, an ageism? Fuck off, dude. They're worried that the old man's going to die on set. And the movie won't be that good because it might break a hip. Mangold would then go in a back and forth with Kaddish. Kaddish would respond to another user's concerns about Ford's age. Ford will always be indie. The issue is whether he's still believable as the character if he's doing crazy action scenes and pushing 80. Exactly. Now, his son could do Indiana Jones. There was it his son or some guy that looked like him that was up for the role of Solo? There's a test reel out there, him doing scenes from lines and stuff of Han Solo's. The guy nailed it. They could cast him as Indiana Jones. Why don't they do that? Mangold replied, "Have you read the script, Matt? Clearly not, because you don't even know who wrote it." Why does that matter? So why don't you take a rest on my show till there's a trailer or a title or something for you to be upset about? For all you know, I could be addressing all your worries. Why are you wasting time talking to this guy? Kaddish would reply, "Sir, I loved it. I would love it if you proved me wrong and made a great Indiana Jones movie. I've been an indie fan since I was a kid, and it's one of my all-time favorite franchises, but it's hard to get excited over what I'm seeing." Again, legitimate concerns. Mangold then stated, "I'm sorry you are finding it hard to get excited about the film I'm making, Matt, considering you don't know the story, script, title, or some of the cast, nor have you seen some images. If I were you, I would spend my time flipping hot takes about something that exists." Why? Speculation's fun. Kaddish retorted, "If you would care to enlighten me about your story or anything else you'd be comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear it. But so far, everything I have seen and heard is not encouraging. Please set me straight." From there, Kaddish would assert another user that he's free to share my opinions whenever the hell I want about whatever I want. Mangold then chimed in stating, "Tell us about your Hollywood experiences, Matt. Give me some titles of your work so we can be on equal footing." Oh, that's douchey. Kaddish replied, "I'm not as successful as you, sir. I made a movie with Jeremy Renner back in 2004 and tried to get it into a feature. and tried to get it into a feature, but it ultimately went nowhere. Worked with a couple of producers on unproduced screenplays, quit Hollywood and became a novelist. Got lots of experience in town, though. Okay, yeah, the guy tried to call him out on his bona fides. He's got some credits here, I guess. Mangold would then eventually get into a back and forth with YouTuber Odin's movie blog, where he attempted to explained why he decided to throw a temper tantrum while still throwing the temper tantrum. But first he responded to Twitter user Dignity Dude. You're arguing with a guy named Dignity Dude, who wrote, apparently Twitter users are now required to submit movie opinion permit applications to Mangold in triplicate for his explicit approval. That's a great line. Nah, really? That you're directing Indiana Jones, and you wrote nah. Okay. That's not what I was saying. Yeah, that was kind of what you were saying. I was coming after a vendor selling clicks, not fans. Sort it out, dude. No, this guy is a fan, and you don't get to decide who the fans are, Mangold, you douchebag. You're just being a dick, and you're taking way too much time talking to a bunch of nobodies on the internet when you should be worrying about your movie. Odin's movie review responded, lol, he had no links or anything, just laying out his thoughts, and then you so-called professional decided to have a hissy fit. Sad and pathetic, God help you. That's true, because Kaddish did not link anything to Mangold, did not at him, just was talking about the movie. And he had the time to go find that and bitch. Tells me he's not doing his job. Someone replied and included me if you care to know. The original tweet came from a site, not a fan. It had facts wrong and was nasty. Grow up. Who cares? I understand you think that I just shoulda let people like him spout his shit. Most days I do. Not today. Not today, Satan. Dignity Dude then chimed in. Matthew Cavendish is not a fan. To which Mangold replied, he has a YouTube channel on the website. He may as well be a fan, whatever the fuck that means. Fuck, I'm an indie fan. He certainly is not my fan. Hardly seems a Harrison Ford fan. So what does that mean exactly? I think you're drawing a lot out of what he said there. Kaddish would respond writing, I'm actually very fond of your movies, sir. I'm also a huge fan of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. I hope you can make a good movie. I did not tag you in any post, FYI. Kaddish has been incredibly professional, calling him sir, being pretty polite. He just expressed concerns about the movie. He didn't seem to be too interested in seeing it, and I don't blame him. I'm less interested in seeing this movie after seeing how big of a crybaby whiner this Mangold douchebag is, because he's acting like a douchebag, and he's acting like a middle schooler. Hollywood is full of weirdos. However, Mangold would continue to respond to the original thread in a now deleted tweet. He wrote, see, I thought fans liked things. I didn't know it meant hated things. The other confusing aspect is that I haven't made the movie yet, but fans love things until you crap all over them. That's not wrong. Odin is 100% right. You will alienate a lot of people, especially because articles like this get published, and then assholes on the internet with YouTube channels that need content to fill, sort of like myself, are going to talk about it. Because if you're an asshole, nobody wants to give you money. Nobody wants to support somebody that's a complete douchebag, is shitting all over some rando on Twitter that has a website or a blog or a vlog or whatever, because you took something the wrong way, or you got personally insulted, or your feelings were hurt. Grow the fuck up and be a professional, you fucking crybabies. Mangold then replied, and clearly you are positive I'm going to crap all over things, although I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because your attitude sucks. Maybe it's because you're spending more time on Twitter talking to random people you don't know and don't matter in the grand scheme of things, instead of focusing on your movie project. Your multi-million-dollar movie project with huge celebrities like Mads Mikkelsen and Harrison Ford that you could be, I don't know, making into something amazing that's going to last for years and decades, beyond your lifetime if you do it right. Or you're going to make some garbage pile trash heap. To which Odin's movie blog pointed out, you're literally crapping on fans now in your comments. Mangold responded, and whose fans are these fans am I crapping on? What kind of fans are these? They're clearly not Harrison Ford fans. You don't know that. Not my fans. Don't seem like much like indie fans. Help me understand, because usually when I approach someone saying I'm a fan, I'm not insulting to them. Well, you're being very insulting. Look, I'm a Harrison Ford fan. I love Harrison Ford's films. Hollywood Homicide was a shit movie. It was stupid. It was vastly outdated when it was made, and it was really lazily written. The acting was pretty good in it, but the movie sucked for every other reason other than the actors. You can make a bad movie. Some would say Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a bad movie. You can still be a Harrison Ford fan. You can still say that Witness was a great movie because Harrison Ford made that movie. That doesn't make you not a Harrison Ford fan because you're worried that something's going to be shit. This guy is reading into things that were never said. And he's deciding who is fans and who isn't. Who can and can't be. Screw this guy. He seems like he's unstable. Mangold would eventually respond to Kaddish in a more conciliatory tone. He wrote, "Someone replied to you to my address. You should be able to vent, Matt. I thought you were a pro blogger," whatever that is. "To me, there's a difference between fans and people with shows. Next time, I'll try to hear you out and just correct the facts." Some publicist or PR person got to him and said, "You are being stupid. Knock this shit off." He should have deleted all those tweets, but of course they still would have been screen grabbed and people would still be talking about them. This is not going to look good when that movie starts to come out and you start seeing trailers. This stuff's going to resurface to haunt him probably throughout his career too, because he looks like an asshole. And I have no respect for him. I probably have seen some of this guy's movies. Now I'm less inclined to do so, and I'll be more aware of who he is and try not to give him money. Because I don't want to support people that are going to shit all over somebody that expresses mild, very mild concern about something that's being made or has been made. This is really, really unprofessional and pathetic. Mangold would try and shift his tone while interacting with a number of other Twitter users, probably because he saw how many people were pissed at him. "I understand wariness. I live it." No, you don't. "I don't know if I'll make you happy, but my team and I will knock ourselves out trying to make things good. We admire the craft of the originals. I hope you will see real images. They'll look better to you than paparazzi shots from bushes." I don't know. Now I have no interest in seeing them. And then to another, he simply wrote, "Thanks, George," or Jorge. Jorge wrote, "Wow, lots of drama. I looked on your IMDb. Nice, dude. Don't know what Fuzz is about. You got some I've enjoyed very much, which makes me hopeful for Indy 5. Don't make it personal, mate. Last Indy left us disappointed. We got issues with KK handing of Star Wars. None of that on you. Make a great film. Thanks, Jorge." Yeah, he's much more conciliatory here. And this guy kind of summed up what the concerns really are. People didn't like the way Kathleen Kennedy dealt with Star Wars franchise. People were disappointed by the last Indiana Jones. This guy does have a very lengthy career, as far as I could tell, but there was no reason for him to go off the handle on people and assume that they're somehow against him. That's paranoid. That's kind of weirdo thinking. Maybe he was doing some drugs that day. I don't know. Maybe he was drunk tweeting. Whatever. Get off Twitter, dude. You're not good at it. You shouldn't be doing it if you're going to act like this. You're supposed to be a professional in the process of making a movie. Maybe focus on that. Or at least get some hookers or something. Stop trying to be a weirdo. All right, check in with the chat. Nightcrawler. He could teleport? No, I don't think that. I think he meant the bug. Nothing done on Twitter's forceful? Yeah, pretty much. Hey, FTW, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not interested in seeing this movie if this guy's this big of a spurg. I mean, he sounds like a weirdo. Most likely Mangold knows it's going to bomb and knows it's going to land in his lap, and not those that made the bad decisions. Yeah, and if he's acting like this, people are definitely going to blame him. Before, if he had just kept his mouth shut, he probably could have been like, "Look, my hands were tied by the studios. I tried to take it in a different direction, but they wanted this." And he could have shifted the blame. Now it looks like he's the asshole, and he's going to purposely tank the movie. or he's so defensive that he knows his movie's going to be shit. So, yeah, him lashing out is really, really stupid. Yeah, Hyman, it won't surprise me if he purposely does it. It purposely fucks it up. Yeah, I love going to see movies, but I have no desire to see most of the movies coming out. The Kong versus Godzilla movie was great. I had a lot of fun watching that. Still too much humans, but it was a fun movie. I would have paid money to see that, but I didn't take the chance. I watched it on HBO Max instead because I thought, why would I give $20? That's what it's going to cost me to see it in the theater, between ticket prices and gas, to see a movie that's going to be total dog shit. I'm not taking that chance. $15 a month, I can see a bunch of other movies instead. Doing good, just relaxing after work. Cool. Cool. I hope you're having a fun time. So, yeah, this Mangold guy's a fucking idiot. And he's probably going to make a dog shit movie. Let me grab another Coca-Cola. And we'll get to our final article, which to me is the most interesting one, even though I have zero interest in the franchise that it's related to. Because I thought it was a weird one to go after. So the cancel culture mob has struck yet again. And this time they've gone after Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon. He's retiring after facing a backlash for donating to Trump and other Republicans. Now, it's been no secret that Scott Cawthon started out doing religious games and then went on to do Five Nights at Freddy's. He also is an admitted Christian, so that's another reason the cancel mob is going after him, I think. But he apparently made some donations to Republicans, and that's enough to get him canceled. So he has retired, and he's probably going to sell off Five Nights at Freddy's, which is probably going to make the franchise go downhill in quality, which is pretty typical. Look at Minecraft. Everybody complains about it now. Everybody I've seen that played Minecraft has either walked away from it or it just sits there complaining while they're playing. This comes from The Insider, which is Business Insider. Now, I never liked Five Nights at Freddy's. I tried playing it once, and it just seemed like a exercise in silliness, and it wasn't that scary or that interesting, but I know it's got a huge fan base, mostly younger people. Kind of weird that a Christian would make a horror game, but whatever. I'm not judging. So let's get into this. Five Nights at Freddy creator Scott Cawthon is retiring after facing backlash for donating to Republican politicians, including former President Donald Trump. I've had a blessed, fulfilling, and rich career, the game developer said on Thursday on his website. I've tried to make some good games, let the debate ensue, and I've witnessed the creation of possibly the most creative and talented fan base on the planet. Cawthon said he will use retirement to spend more time with his 6 kids. He already had his hands full. As I realized that I was in my mid-30s when I created the series, and I'm now approaching my mid-40s, I realized that I missed a lot of things that I got to focus on before Five Nights at Freddy's became a success. I miss making games for my kids. I miss doing it just for fun, and I miss making RPGs, even though I stink at it. Cawthon added that his departure won't spell the end of the popular survival horror video game series. He'll choose someone to take over Five Nights at Freddy's and announce his successor later. The controversy erupted last week when it surfaced that Cawthon had a history of donating to Republican lawmakers, including Trump and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Frogman, according to Open Secrets. His political donations sparked outrage, particularly among the LGBTQ fans of the game, who make up a sizable part of its fan base. More like it angered Twitter weirdos. In the following days, Cawthon defended his support of several candidates to whom he had donated, including a Maryland congressional candidate, Kimberly Clackick, a black Republican, Democrat presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard, and Trump. I supported President Trump because I felt he was the best man to fuel a strong economy and stand up to America's enemies abroad, of which there are many, he said on Reddit at the time. I exercised my right and my duty as an American citizen to vote for and support the candidates whom I felt best could run the country for everyone, and that's something that I won't apologize for. Even if there were candidates who had better things to say to the LGBT community directly and bigger promises to make, I believe that their stances on other issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. Oh my gosh, you free thinker, you monster. Cawthon also said that in his initial response that he is Republican Christian and pro-life supporter and hinted he might retire over the uproar. I have always loved and will continue to love this community and this fan base, even if someday it doesn't include me anymore, he continued. And if I get canceled, then I get canceled. I don't do this for the money anymore. I do it because I enjoy it. If people think I'm doing more harm than good now, then maybe it's better that I get canceled and retire. I would accept that. I've had a fulfilling career. Plus, he has more money than Jeebus. So, yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. What's left out of this article is they went after his wife. And that's probably the real reason he retired, was they were going after his wife. And if I remember correctly, his wife is pregnant, and she doesn't need this kind of stress. Don't go after people's wives. That's freaking rude. It came out about since in his earlier games, some people said characters look like creepy animatronics, so he used it to his advantage. Yeah, I don't blame him. Hey, Kyle, how you doing? Jesus has more wine. Yeah, he has a never-ending supply. Really good chairs for some reason. My dad made this. Yeah, I don't understand going after people like this. Look, the guy's got enough money. He doesn't need it. He can just walk away and sell the franchise off. But it's going to lead to an inferior product in the long run because he had the original vision. He knows where he wanted it to go. And people take things in other directions, like Star Wars. So, yeah, it's really sad. Like I said, I don't play the game. I'm not a fan of the franchise, but I get a lot of people are. I've seen toys for that thing, all sorts of goofy things, trinkets you could buy. The guy made a mint off of it, and good for him. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean anything to the cancel mob, and they will destroy anything that is even slightly deviated from their acceptable limit parameters. Oh, slabs alert. Oh, thank you, Cult of Crow, for the donation. Imagine saying with a straight face that it's okay to cancel someone who donates to your political opponents and calling yourself anti-fascist. Exactly. This whole cancel culture struggle session nonsense needs to stop. People need to stand up to it. This guy put an effort in. He did for a little while there, a couple days. He put up more of a fight than some people. But I don't blame him for walking away. He's got 6 kids. His wife might be pregnant. He doesn't need this crap. He doesn't need people harassing his family. I get why he walked away. But in the long run, the only people that are really going to be damaged by this are the fans of the franchise. There's not going to be new versions of the game come out. And if they do, they'll be by other people and it won't be as good. It's really sad. Yeah, keep that money rolling in. He'll always get a percentage. But yeah, you're exactly right, Krill. There's no reason for him to be getting walked on like this by people that pretend they're anti-fascist. This is just a communist struggle session. They're walking all over this poor guy for nothing. He didn't do anything wrong. You have a right to donate to whoever you want in politics. You should go out and vote for whoever you think is best going to represent you. That's how our system works. You don't have to like that. You don't like it, move to China, where there's one party and your social credit score will go down for speaking ill of anyone that you disagree with. These are totally modern brown shirts, Jacqueline Dusk. Sorry, I'm never going to get your name right, dude. She's Prego? That's what I thought. The only people that lose here are the fans of the game and the franchise as a whole. Look, I don't play the game. I don't like the game. But I understand the attraction to it, and I can see that there is a lot of money floating around in all the tie-ins and stuff like that that people seem to love. Kids buy that crap by the truckload. So, yeah, fuck these commies, like Lester said. These people are dictating way too much of the content that we can partake in, and it's disgusting, and people need to push back. Yeah, if our votes actually count. I did give up soda for a while, Oki, but here we are. It's the only thing keeping me kind of conscious right now. It's going to come back to them. Yeah, they're not smart. They don't think long term. You're exactly right, Rod. They're not paying attention to the long term ramifications. They're focused on the immediate gratification of the here and now. They don't think that the mob will ever come for them. And we've seen them do this time and time again where they eat their own. The stuff that they're advocating now might be unpopular in a week, let alone 2 years. So that mob could circle around and come for them. These are like sharks, always swimming and looking for food. Just don't have anything good to replace with. I switched from regular soda to the cane sugar, so I don't have the high fructose in my system. That stuff really makes me feel gross. And cane sugar is just slightly better for you. It's less concentrated. So that's why I switched to the bottled Coca-Colas. Plus, they're more expensive, so I don't buy as many. So I try and limit myself to a couple for, every so often, not every day or anything. I've been trying to phase it out, but it's a lot harder than you think. It's so delicious when it hits your tongue. So that's really all I had today. The Five Nights at Freddy's thing actually really made me mad. And it probably shouldn't have, but mostly because I'm not a fan of it. But the fact that they're going after this guy for donating to a legitimate political cause, he didn't do anything wrong. He just violated their perceived morality, their arbitrary, fickle nature. And I think that's ridiculous. This guy didn't do anything. He didn't deserve this. And I'm glad he's got the FU money to tell them where to go. But everybody that's a fan of it's going to lose. And people need to stand up for someone you disagree with or don't care for their product if they're being canceled for illegitimate reasons. Just because I'm not a fan of this guy and I don't know who he is, doesn't mean he's not getting canceled for illegitimate reasons. They're going after him over nothing. Probably because he's a Christian and a Republican. Those seem to be two very important things. I didn't look up to see if he's white, but that wouldn't surprise me. So he's already got some strikes. He's straight. He's a Christian. He's votes Republican. He's got 6 kids. That's all stuff they hate. So yeah, I don't like that they did this. Did you hear about Billie Eilish? She's getting eaten by her fans because her boyfriend used the N-word and the F-word in some tweet 10 years ago. That doesn't surprise me. And Billie Eilish is pretty lefty. She dresses like a homeless person to hide her body from the male gaze or some crap, according to some article I read. She seems like a pretty big lefty in Hollywood area, so it doesn't surprise me that her boyfriend may have said some naughty thing a decade ago. If they had Twitter when people in my age group were young, we'd all be getting canceled for it. Gatekeep against those SJWs. We might have to, because their gatekeeping is very arbitrary and capricious. And there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And they will turn on their own on the flip of a switch. It's sort of like the Mean Girls group. They will destroy their own if it suits their whimsies. And it's disgusting. People need to stop this crap. So does anybody have any questions or anything before we wrap up? Or I'll just keep repeating myself over and over again out of pure rage. All right. I got some new comics to review. I did drop a new review a little while ago. So if you want to check that out, feel free. I do need to get my watch time up there, so any video you guys watch over on that channel really helps out quite a bit. Where's my money, bitch? Probably at your bank. I don't know. I wasn't in charge of watching it. They don't care about destroying a franchise. They just want to exile Republicans. I think that's a big part of it. And they want to torch and burn anything that a Republican has touched. A lot of this is politics, and a lot of it is the fact that they see people in black and white as if you're not with us, you're against us. That kind of thinking is incredibly dangerous and has historically led to a lot of dead people. Any good guides on how to price old books? Old comics, I would check. Just go on eBay and look at the completed auctions is probably the most accurate, and then subtract a little bit from it because people always try and undercut each other. Otherwise, if you're looking for a book like Overstreet Price Guide comes out yearly, and if you're looking to sell, you'll get about a quarter of whatever is listed in there. Did you ever play Traveler? Yes, I did play Traveler a couple times. I thought it was okay. Wasn't really my thing. But the people I played with were real diehards, and they didn't explain much to me, and I think that kind of clouded my judgment. I was much more of a Star Frontiers kind of guy. So there were more people that played that, and the people I played with had more fun. But otherwise, I played a lot of Dungeons & Dragons, Call of Cthulhu, Champions, Fantasy Hero. See, played some Rifts. Mostly Call of Cthulhu and D&D at the end there, though. A couple other games. Providence was fun. Sure I'm forgetting like a dozen really good games that I've played. Cyborg Commando. I wish that would come back. Haven't cracked open the Star Frontiers in decades. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great game. It's a very simple system. Character died during character creation in Traveler. No, I don't think so. Paranoia, I went through a bunch of characters. All the clones died. It was always ugly and brutal. Worked on a new board game in a month. Why haven't you worked on that? Get to work. Come on, Oki, you got to make time for it. Dedication is better than motivation. Every time. So don't give up just because you get distracted. You got to make time for things to work. And if you're not feeling it, you know, you're at your designated time to work on it and you don't want to work on that, work on another project just to get in the habit of continuing to do work constantly. Most because I forgot. You can't forget about your projects, dude. I've done that. Macho Women with Guns. I haven't played that in a while either. I've played that a couple times. And what was the other goofy one they had? There was a monster one that they did. Shit, can't think of it now. I'm drawing a blank. I can see the cover. I remember playing Nightlife from Stellar Games. That one was pretty fun. It was the vampire game before Vampire the Masquerade. And quite honestly, a little better. Because it drew in less Drama Club rejects. Played Star Wars on the D20 system and the D6 West End system. And I liked the Star Wars one from West End better. But the D20 one wasn't bad. We got a lot more people to play that. Oh, no. I think I still have a copy of Macho Women with Guns around somewhere. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what that. Well, there was one that was based around movies. That was a good horror movie. West End was the best D20, never interested me. Yeah, I didn't like the D20 one as much. Thought the D6 system was far superior and had better source books. But we played. I thought the D20 one was okay. And mainly because we could get more people to play it because it was the new shiny thing and you could play in the new movies. It's the second game that I've done. Sold the first, then reacquired the rights. Then the coup, of course, caused an issue with the Chinese manufacturer. When I was going to publish, lost some money in that deal. That sucks, dude. I remember you telling me about that. But at least you get the rights back. Don't give up just because you have a setback. You got to be positive and forward thinking whenever you're working. Yeah, I just mentioned Paranoia, dude. It was great. You thought you would have liked Vampire the Masquerade because all the goth chicks with daddy issues. Mostly around me, it was largely dudes and gay dudes and a couple of fat chicks. I saw almost no attractive women at any of the events that I got invited to. And mainly I would fill in to help out when they were short people because they were doing like LARPing and stuff like that. I didn't do the LARPing that much, but I'd sit in at a game table and try and play like a regular gamer. And they're like, you're violating the rules. And they'd sit there and do like junior drama club crap, and it was boring. Boring. Gorbek goes, it's Random's fault. He streams whenever I plan on working on it. Attractive women and vampire are usually taken. Yep. Yeah. There was one LARP group that they asked me to fill in to play a ghoul. So I went along with them, and we drove to a nearby city, and everybody there was a gay dude in the group that we ended up playing with. There was a big crossover with the Camarilla or Camarilla, however you pronounce that stupid crap. And after the game was over, a bunch of them went off and had sex. And I was like, this got weird fast. So that was very uncomfortable. Yeah, there you go, Random. Extreme work on the game. That could be fun. Yeah, Oki, you can't give up on your game, man. You gotta dedicate some time to it. It's hard sometimes because, like I said, you don't always feel motivated, but dedication pays off. Typical vampire game. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I like the setting, but it just leads to too much boring politics and drama crap instead of like, let's have explosions and gunplay. I want to role play something I don't have to do in real life, like have a council meeting. Ugh. Were you high school president of your school? Ugh, boring. What's it like playing a tabletop gaming if you have? I like tabletop games where stuff happens and you don't just sit around doing like weird attempts at accents and stuff like that. I think that's boring. I want some action and adventure. That's why D&D worked really well for me, because you could kill a lot of stuff. Still playing the game, they cosplayed and had drama club and acted the shit out on a mini stage. Oh my god, they had a stage. Oh, that's wow. Yeah, that'd be disturbing. Yeah, I don't like LARPing for that reason. I think it's very lame. But a lot of people are into it. I get it. You do your thing. Adeptus Titanicus, dude. I had a bunch of epic scale 40K minis. For Space Marine. Adeptus Titanicus was the original was a little before my time, and the other was a little after. Moon-based radio is calling me a nerd. Dude, this is a comic book channel. Of course I'm a nerd. Actually, I'm probably more of a geek, because nerds tend to have skill sets, like computer nerds, that sort of thing. I don't have any of that. So why don't the vampire play the stock market or Bitcoin? That's a good question, Buster. They probably do these days. Yeah, I like the tabletop stuff way more. I'd rather just sit back and relax and hang out with some friends, goof off a little bit, and have a little adventure. Good times. I liked running games more than I liked playing, too. So that was always fun for me to write the adventures. Hey, Nietzsche. How you doing, man? Brought my dice and everything and an extra copy of the game, and it turned into an unattractive LARPing and BDSM swinging. Yeah, see, you know what I'm talking about. That could get uncomfortable real fast. Nothing wrong with that, Lesser. Probably got a pretty decent job. Game conversions. There's some good old school style role-playing games out there. I've seen a couple of them on Amazon. I picked a few up. I just haven't read them yet. Thinking about doing reviews on them on my game channel. I got a copy of Cyberpunk 2020 the other day, and that was one of the first RPGs that I got to play with people from school, and they never invited me back. But I loved the setting. So I got a copy of the rule book again. Finally, my last copy got ripped off, and it must have gotten reprinted, but I was excited to get it. And man, that was a fun trip down memory lane. And I also picked up a copy of Conspiracy X for like $5. And that was a cool game too. It came out around the same time as Delta Green, so you could play federal agents in Call of Cthulhu, and that was really cool. And Conspiracy X came out around that same time, and my group tried playing both, but the Conspiracy X system kind of confused everybody, so we never really went back to it, but it was a pretty cool setting. Oh, I love doing dungeons as well, Gorbag. That was a lot of fun for D&D. That's what I liked about D&D, though. You could do all this crazy shit. Like, if you played the Castle Greyhawk module, the crew of the Enterprise shows up in there. And they're not called that, of course, but if you read the description, you know who they are. And it was just goofy fun. You didn't have to make it too weird or serious, and people now are just way too serious about stuff. Plus, they want to play politics in there. Like the last time I played D&D, I was guesting in this guy's 3.5 game, and there was somebody in there that made it a point to use their pronouns, and they wanted to play an LGBTQ character, and they wore like a pride shield. It was really stupid, and I got bored and I just left. Yeah, it sounds right, Oki. Yeah. So Roll20 has always been at least one or two games adult oriented, sound too much like lonely phone sex. Yeah, you're not wrong. A buddy of mine got booted off of one of the websites. I think it was Roll20 because he was mean to somebody and they made a complaint and they booted him for it. All right, well, I'll sit here and talk about RPGs for like 2 hours if we're not careful. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to thank everybody for coming, as always, and thank you so much for the donations. You guys are awesome. It really, really helps. And I hope you had fun. And as always, we will see you on the next one, hopefully. And thanks for coming out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Take care, everybody. See you on the next one.